Hello, this is the third segment in our series on data-driven testing in Alchemy. In the first video, we actually used a data file to supply data to our test, and we ran over each row of data in that file and filled in a form. In the second video, we did an example of using data generated on the fly, random data generated on the fly. It was a very simple dynamic way of using random data. In this case, we're going to use a little bit more sophisticated way of using random data, which is to create a random data source. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm just going to say this is going to be my synthetic data source. And of course it's synthetic data. It's a type. I need to add a table to it. Let me give this table a name. Random people. Okay, I need to add some fields to these people. So we'll give them a first name. First. And that first name type is not an integer. Fortunately, there's a first name data type in Alchemy, which is very convenient. Go ahead and add a few more fields here. So let's add a last name to these random people. And again, it's not an integer. There's a last name. You'd think first name and last name would be about the same type of data, just text data, right? Except Alchemy has some intelligence to this synthesized data. It actually uses artificial intelligence to create first and last names that are somewhat realistic or typical of what you might find. So let's go ahead and add just a couple more data fields to this. Let's add an email address. And what type of data is it? Again, there's a very convenient field called email address in Alchemy, or a data type. We're going to add one more. I'm adding this one because I actually want to show you what happens if I don't have a data type that matches. Okay, a phone number is not an integer, it's not a decimal, it's none of that. So let's go ahead and create a user-defined data type. In this case, the phone number is going to be 3 digits, followed by a dash, 3 more digits, followed by a dash, and then 4 digits. Okay, there's my random people. If I look at it, I've got some records. By default, it generated 10 records. That's a little bit too much for this. I want this test to run real fast. So let's just go ahead and let that be 4 records of data. It's completely synthetic. And Alchemy created this data for me. So now I'm going to use it in my test. Go back over to test. And our data-driven test here, when we look at it, remember it would, for each record in my data set, it'll execute a function called fill the form. Since I had deleted the data set that I was using before, prior to starting this video, I'm going to just use my random people data table in this case, which is the one we just created, and it's going to execute the fill the form function. We're going to need to make a couple of adjustments to fill the form function, because the function, the data that function was using is no longer here because I deleted it. So let's go ahead and put first name in to the function. Let's use the last name from the synthetic data file, and let's also use the email address and the phone number from the synthetic data. You save that, go back to my test, and execute the test. If I hadn't made any mistakes, it'll run over all 4 records in that synthetic data, add those to the form, and then this test will hopefully end successfully. This is the 3rd record, 4th record. Okay, the test passed. That's good. I want to do one more thing before we end this video. I want to go back to the data and show you how this might be useful. First of all, we were able to create that formatted phone number as we talked about before. But when we go back to the table itself, let's say I want to go ahead and go from, I like the way the test ran. Those 4 records did exactly what I wanted, so now I want 400 records. Pretty easy to do. So I just go ahead and up that number to 400, click Save, and it is now generating a table of 400 records. Take my word for it, there are 400 of them here. Now, when I run my test, it's gonna use these 400 records. When I run the test another time, it's going to give me another 400 records. If I want to use the same 400 records every time, what I need to do is export this out to a file, which I'm not actually going to do, but I can export this data out to a CSV file, and then this can be my data file for a future test. So if I actually needed to create a file with thousands of records of synthetic data and I want to use that same set of synthetic data over and over and over again for repeatability reasons, I have an easy way to do that in Alchemy. That's the end of today's segment on data-driven testing, so thank you very much, and we'll see you next time.